On Flight 1847, a routine Wednesday afternoon flight from Chicago O'Hare to Miami, Flight Attendant Rachel Johnson was completing passenger safety checks. With 187 passengers preparing for beverage service, everything seemed normal. Rachel was handing a blanket to elderly passenger Mr. Henderson in seat 14C when the pilot's announcement came over the intercom. "Cabin crew, please take your positions immediately. We're encountering unexpected turbulence." To Rachel's experienced ear, this didn't sound like a normal turbulence warning. She had detected the tension in Captain Morrison's voice. But Rachel did something different. She calmly told passengers, "Everyone please fasten your seatbelts. We're passing through a storm," and whispered to Mr. Henderson, "We'll keep you safe, sir. Just tighten your seatbelt." While other flight attendants rushed to emergency positions in panic, Rachel was already forming different scenarios in her mind. "Jessica, this isn't normal storm weather. The left engine vibration and hydraulic pressure are dropping," she told her colleague with confident authority. Jessica looked stunned. "Hydraulic pressure? You're a flight attendant, Rachel, not an engineer. How do you know that?" 3 minutes later, when Captain Morrison's announcement came, "Emergency, emergency, both engines lost, making forced landing," the 187 passengers on board would learn who Rachel Johnson really was. In the next 6 hours, as the aircraft crashed into Illinois forests and multiple severe injuries occurred, Rachel's movements had changed. Her rescue technique was different. Her survival skills were precise and military grade. It was as if she had become a completely different person. Welcome to Hidden Legends. Before we continue with this incredible forest crash rescue story, tell us in the comments what city you're watching from today. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, hit that subscribe button. Rachel Johnson was a 37-year-old flight attendant who had been working in commercial aviation for 7 years. She was the most reliable member of the crew on international flights, calm, professional, always applying the right procedures at critical moments. "Rachel is our most experienced," said Chief Flight Attendant Margaret. "When flying with her, I know everything is under control." But Rachel's ability to maintain control came from places very different from a normal flight attendant's experience. The flight duty routine was the same every day: pre-flight safety checks, passenger greeting, safety instructions, service, landing procedures, standard aviation operations. But Rachel's approach was different. Other flight attendants found Rachel's responses to emergencies strange. "Rachel, how do you stay so calm during the most stressful moments?" they would ask. "Training," Rachel would say quietly. "Every situation requires preparation and survival." This training came from a 12-year pararescue career in the Air Force. Combat search and rescue operations, wilderness survival, life-saving under extreme conditions. Rachel had conducted air rescue operations in the world's most dangerous places. Rachel Johnson's real story began 16 years ago. She had joined the Air Force at age 18. After basic Air Force training, she took pararescue training. This was one of the world's toughest military programs. 2 years of hell weeks: free diving, high-altitude parachuting, mountaineering, Arctic survival, jungle survival, combat swimming, advanced trauma medicine. The pararescue motto, that others may live. Rachel had absorbed this philosophy into her bloodstream. Pararescue training wasn't just rescue. Wilderness medicine, field surgery, multiple trauma intervention, aircraft crash rescue specialist, helicopter insertion techniques, rope rescue, technical climbing. Pararescue specialists save lives in every environment under all conditions. "A pararescue specialist performs miracles in God-forsaken places," said Training Commander Master Sergeant Thompson. "From aircraft crashes to mountain avalanches, from the middle of oceans to Amazon rainforests, where no one can be, doing what no one can do." Rachel had perfectly completed this impossible mission training. Rachel's first assignment was Afghanistan. Combat search and rescue in the Hindu Kush Mountains, rescuing wounded Special Forces operators from downed helicopters, technical rescue at 4,000 meters altitude, casualty evacuation under enemy fire. One of her most memorable missions was rescuing 8 crew members from a military aircraft that went down in Taliban territory. Rachel had survived in enemy territory for 72 hours, stabilized the wounded, and transported them all safely to the extraction point. Her second assignment was Alaska. Arctic rescue operations, mountain rescue at -40°C, survivor extraction from avalanches, emergency medicine in frozen wilderness. These missions made Rachel an extreme weather survival specialist. Her third assignment was the Amazon, jungle rescue operations, crashed aircraft recovery, tropical medicine, venomous snake bites, jungle survival. For 6 months, Rachel worked in the depths of the Amazon. Her fourth assignment was special operations, classified rescue missions, high-value target extraction, denied territory operations. Over 12 years, Rachel had completed 127 successful rescue operations with no loss of life. But the event that truly changed Rachel was a civilian aircraft crash in Colombia. An 89-passenger aircraft had crashed into the Amazon rainforest. Rachel had single-handedly rescued survivors for 4 days, established a field hospital in the jungle, and kept 73 people alive. That day, her passion for civilian aviation was born. After 12 years of active duty, Rachel transitioned to civilian life, combat stress, adjustment challenges, civilian life adaptation. But Rachel's goal was clear: service in civilian aviation. The flight attendant position was a perfect fit. It allowed her to stay in the aviation industry while providing opportunities for passenger safety and emergency response. When the airline hired Rachel, she was overqualified. Aviation training, 12 years of Air Force experience, pararescue certification. But the employer didn't ask detailed questions. "I've always wanted to work in civilian aviation," Rachel had said. "Passenger safety and comfort." Wednesday, November 22nd. There were serious weather warnings in Chicago. Winter storm approaching, icing conditions, severe turbulence alerts. Under normal circumstances, the flight would be canceled, but this was Rachel's last Miami route in the flight schedule. Boarding began at 3:30 p.m. 187 passengers, 6 crew, 3.5-hour flight. But the meteorology reports were worrying. The first hour passed normally, but Rachel was noticing subtle changes in the aircraft systems. Hydraulic pressure fluctuations, engine performance irregularities, ice formation on wings. She whispered to Jessica, "Ice accumulation rate is higher than normal." "How do you know, Rachel?" "I'm monitoring aircraft performance. The de-icing system is near overload." Jessica looked skeptical. Rachel's technical knowledge had always impressed her. At 4:45 p.m., disaster began. Severe icing conditions, ice ingestion in both engines, hydraulic system failure. The aircraft experienced violent shaking. To Rachel's trained ear, this was critical system failure. Dual engine failure, hydraulic loss, control surface icing. Emergency announcement from cockpit. "Cabin crew, emergency stations, prepare for emergency landing." Other attendants went into panic. Rachel instantly switched to combat mode. "Jessica, Lisa, emergency positions. This could be a crash landing. Prepare the passengers." Crash landing? Jessica was terrified. "Engine failure, hydraulic loss. The pilot will have to land on terrain," Rachel said calmly. Terrifying announcement from cockpit. "Mayday, Mayday, this is Flight 1847. Dual engine failure, hydraulic system loss, attempting emergency landing, unable to reach airport." Rachel immediately understood this was a survivable crash scenario. Illinois countryside, forested terrain, winter conditions. "Everyone listen," Rachel said, her voice cutting through panic. "Brace positions, remove sharp objects, shoes off." 12 years of pararescue training activated. Crash survival protocol, passenger preparation, injury prevention. Passengers were panicking, crying, praying. Rachel moved through the cabin systematically. To Mr. Henderson, "Sir, glasses off, dentures out, brace position." To the pregnant woman, "Ma'am, pillow on belly, lean forward gently." To the children, "Kids, game time. Who can make the best airplane position?" Her voice remained calm, authoritative, reassuring. The aircraft completely lost control over Illinois farmland. The pilot was trying to clear the tree line, but altitude was insufficient. "Brace, brace, brace!" Rachel shouted. First impact. The tail section hit large oak trees. Violent deceleration, the tail broke off. Second impact. The main fuselage belly landed on frozen cornfield, sliding 300 meters through mud and snow. Third impact. The nose section hit a farmhouse fence, cockpit crumpled. The aircraft broke into 3 pieces. Tail section in forest, main cabin in farmland. Cockpit crashed into fence. After impact came eerie silence. Then, screaming, moaning, panic sounds. Rachel immediately conducted damage assessment. Conscious, no major injuries, fully mobile. Training kicked in automatically. "Anyone who can hear me, stay calm," she shouted. Thick smoke was coming from the cockpit. Fuel leak risk, fire hazard. "Fire risk, everyone out, move to exit." But exits were blocked. Main cabin twisted, emergency doors jammed, wing exits weren't accessible. Rachel began creating improvised exits from survival training, tried to create opening in fuselage with emergency acts. Rachel systematically began assessing injured passengers. 12 years of combat medicine experience guided her. There were 12 critical injuries. From the cockpit crew, Captain Morrison was unconscious with head trauma and possible spinal injury. The passenger in seat 23A had internal bleeding and abdominal trauma. Seat 45C had a compound leg fracture and arterial bleeding. Seat 67B had chest trauma and difficulty breathing. There were 28 more serious injuries, including multiple broken bones, wounds, and concussions. 89 walking wounded were experiencing cuts, bruises, and shock. 5 people had lost their lives in the tail section. Rachel immediately began triage. She applied the principles she had learned in 12 years of combat experience. Save as many lives as possible. Rachel realized rescue teams would be hours away. Winter storm, remote location, aircraft wreckage scattered. She had to establish field hospital operations. "Listen up," she commanded with a voice that cut through chaos. "I'm taking charge of rescue operations." Jessica, in shock. "Rachel, you're a flight attendant." "Not today. Today I'm a survival specialist," Rachel said sternly. Rachel organized able-bodied passengers into teams. She formed a medical team with Nurse Jennifer and passenger Dr. Park. She created a shelter team to build windbreaks and organize warmth. She assigned a supply team to gather blankets, water, and food from the wreckage. She established a signal team to prepare rescue signals. Rachel transformed the aircraft interior into a field hospital. 12 years of pararescue medical training was fully displayed. Critical patient 23A was experiencing abdominal trauma. Rachel suspected internal bleeding. With limited supplies, she established IV access, applied pressure bandages, and positioned for shock. Patient 45C was experiencing compound fracture. Rachel controlled arterial bleeding, performed improvised splinting with aircraft materials, and applied tourniquet from seatbelt. Patient 67B was experiencing chest trauma. Rachel suspected pneumothorax and improvised chest decompression with aircraft first aid kit needle. "Rachel, these procedures," Dr. Park was amazed. "This is trauma surgery level medicine." "Field medicine," Rachel replied tersely, continuing patient care. The sun was setting, temperature dropping to -7 degrees Celsius, winter storm approaching. Rachel had to organize survival operations for 182 survivors in aircraft wreckage. Rachel organized shelters using aircraft debris. She made the main cabin a hospital for critical patients. She arranged wing sections as shelter for families with children. She used the cargo area for supply storage and able-bodied adults. For fire starting, Rachel used aircraft electrical components and emergency flares for multiple warming fires. For water procurement, she melted snow and rationed aircraft beverage supplies. For food rationing, she organized aircraft meal service and passenger snacks for 24-hour sustainability. Dr. Park approached Rachel as she treated the compound fracture. "I need to know your medical background. These trauma techniques aren't civilian trained." Rachel hesitated. It was time to reveal her 7-year secret. "United States Air Force pararescue specialist," she said quietly. 12 years combat search and rescue." Dr. Park stepped back amazed. "Pararescue? That's That's elite special operations. Technical Sergeant Rachel Johnson, retired, she confirmed. Word spread quickly among survivors. Their flight attendant was actually an elite military rescue specialist. Throughout the bitter cold night, Rachel maintained medical operations, organized security watches, and coordinated survival activities. Every 2 hours, she conducted patient assessment, medication distribution, and vital signs monitoring. At midnight, hypothermia cases began developing, and Rachel organized body warming techniques and shared heat protocols. At 2 a.m., patient 23A's condition deteriorated, and Rachel suspected worsening internal bleeding, attempting improvised surgical intervention with limited medical supplies. At 4 a.m., aircraft debris fires ran low on fuel, and Rachel organized supply teams for additional combustible materials. At 6 a.m., as dawn approached and visibility improved, Rachel began organizing signal preparation for rescue aircraft. Morning brought clear weather, but still no rescue aircraft visible. Rachel understood they needed to make themselves more visible and create larger rescue signals. Rachel organized ground signal teams. She created a large X pattern using bright aircraft materials. She established signal fires in open areas. She prepared mirror signals using aircraft windows. The aircraft radio was partially functional. Rachel attempted emergency communications using aircraft systems. Mayday, Mayday. This is Flight 1847 survivors. Ground location approximately 65 kilometers southwest of Chicago. 182 survivors, 12 critical injuries. Urgent medical assistance needed. The second day brought complications. Patient 23A's critical condition was worsening despite Rachel's medical intervention. Without proper surgery, internal bleeding would prove fatal. Rachel faced an impossible choice: attempt field surgery with improvised tools or lose the patient. She decided to attempt emergency abdominal exploration using aircraft first aid instruments sterilized with aircraft alcohol supplies. Dr. Park, I need your assistance. This is beyond normal protocol. Rachel, this is surgery. Without proper facility, without intervention, he dies. I've done this before under combat conditions. Rachel performed emergency laparotomy using improvised surgical setup. She removed and cleaned an aircraft seat as the operating table. She used aircraft emergency lights and flashlights for lighting. She took first aid scissors, tweezers, and emergency medical kit as instruments. She applied aircraft alcohol and pressure points for pain management as anesthesia. Dr. Park and Nurse Jennifer assisted. The surgery lasted 3 hours. Rachel located and controlled internal bleeding, repaired damaged organs with sutures from aircraft upholstery repair kit. The patient stabilized, vital signs improved, surgery successful. Witnesses were amazed. The flight attendant had just performed life-saving abdominal surgery in aircraft wreckage using improvised materials. 28 hours after the crash, rescue helicopters finally appeared. Rachel had kept 182 survivors alive, treated multiple trauma cases, and organized survival operations. The search and rescue coordinator approached Rachel at the landing zone. Ma'am, we understand you coordinated survivor operations. Incredible work. Technical Sergeant Rachel Johnson, Air Force Pararescue, retired. Situation report: 182 survivors, 5 fatalities, 12 critical patients ready for medical evacuation. The search and rescue coordinator was stunned. Pararescue? That explains everything. Your field operations were textbook perfect. Rachel coordinated patient evacuation priorities. She sent critical patients via helicopter evacuation to Level 1 trauma centers. She transported serious injuries via ground ambulance to regional hospitals. She dispatched walking wounded via bus transportation to local medical facilities. Her triage decisions, medical interventions, and survival operations had saved dozens of lives. 6 months after the crash, Rachel reflected on the experience. For 12 years, I saved lives in military operations. When I became a flight attendant, I thought that chapter was closed. Flight 1847 showed me, once pararescue, always pararescue. The motto, that others may live, doesn't end with retirement. It continues in different forms, different places, different ways. Rachel's story is more than pure heroism. It's about the application of military skills in civilian contexts, the emergence of hidden talents in critical moments, the never-ending nature of service spirit. Military service doesn't end with retirement, Rachel says. Skills transfer, commitment continues, missions evolve. The day Rachel saved 182 passengers on Flight 1847, she demonstrated the ultimate civilian application of pararescue training. Real protectors don't stop protecting. They find new people worth saving. So I ask you, do you know veterans quietly serving in the aviation community? People with hidden military backgrounds silently contributing to civilian aviation. Share your experiences in the comments, because at Hidden Legends, we believe the greatest protectors often serve at the most critical moments. If this story moved you, share it, subscribe, and help these important veteran stories continue. We'll see you in the next legend. And remember, on your next flight, you might encounter military backgrounds you're unaware of among the cabin crew. Real heroes change their forms of service, but the protection mission is eternal.